దూరవిద్యా విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూరవిద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ బీఏ, బీకామ్, బీఎస్సీ డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టడీస్లో సెంటర్ ఫర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద్వారా ఎంఫిల్, పీహెచ్డీతో పాటు విశ్వవిద్యాలయమే స్వయంగా దూర విద్యా విధాన అంశంపైన పీహెచ్డీ వంటి పరిశోధన కోర్సులు ప్రవేశపెట్టింది. సుమారు 4.5 లక్షల మంది విద్యార్థులు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నుంచి ఉన్నత విద్యావకాశాలు పొందుతున్నారు. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధనా పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
Welcome to the teleconference of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University on the topic Sovereign, Socialist, Secular Democratic Republic, Mass Media Perspective and Challenges, being organized for the benefit of the students of Mass Communication, Public Relations and Journalism. Today's topic for discussion is based on the preamble of our Constitution, which says, "We the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all the citizens social, economic, and political justice, liberty of thought, expression, and faith, equality of status and of opportunity." My dear students, in the preamble, our preamble is like Bhagavad Gita or lodestar that leads and guides our country towards socio-economic development. In tune with the spirit of our preamble, India should be proud of 3 major achievements. 1. India has emerged as the world's largest vibrant democracy with over 80 crore voters. Number 2, India, which was a country of famines and starvation deaths, now has become 10th largest industrialized country, which is poised to become world's 3rd biggest economy. The 3rd biggest achievement of our democracy is India remains a secular country with due respect to all religions. In all these achievements, I must say the Indian media power has played a major role. In fact, the Indian media should be proud of its role in these 3 achievements. To quote the importance of media, I would like to quote Thomas Jefferson, who said, quote, "Were it left to me to decide whether we should have a government without newspapers or newspapers without government. Thomas Jefferson, over 200 years ago, said, I prefer newspapers without government. That is the importance of media in a democratic polity. We have in our studios two distinguished experts, Professor P.L. Vishweshwar Rao, former Dean of Faculty of Arts, Usmania University, and Dr. S. Ramu, editor and public relations officer of Administrative Staff College of India, to enlighten us on this important topic. My dear students, if you want to interact with us after half an hour, if you want to interact on the subject, kindly contact these numbers after half an hour. The numbers are 040 2703 1431. Another number 2703 1432. 2703 1433. These are the numbers you can contact after half an hour. Now, Professor Vishweshwar Rao Garu, as entire our democracy is based on Indian Constitution, would you like to tell our students the main features of Indian Constitution?
Well, I think, Professor Reddy, what is important is, when we talk about, the Indian Constitution, it's important for us to first understand, the context of India. The context of India, as you have said, we are the largest democracy in the world. In addition to that, not only we are the largest democracy in the world, we also have to understand the diversity and plurality of this country. Very, very few countries in this country are multilingual, multi-ethnic, multi-religious. All these factors were taken into consideration when we formulated the Constitution by our forefathers. In that kind of a context, it's very, very important for us to understand what are the basic fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution. And I must say, for understanding of the students, that Indian Constitution is one of the finest constitutions in the world. The entire governance in this country is on the basis of the Constitution we have. You see, the 7 fundamental rights, when you are talking about fundamental rights, talk about right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion. And we are also talking about one of the major fundamental rights, talk about cultural and educational rights, right to property and right to constitutional remedies. So, when you are talking about democracy, it is very important that all the students should get understanding about these 7 fundamental rights of this country. And of course, one of the fundamental rights is directly relating to media freedom and media expression, that is right to freedom. The 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution very clearly talks about right to freedom and expression, which was later interpreted by the Supreme Court of right to freedom of the press. So, when we are talking about republic and secular and democratic values, all those values flow from these fundamental rights. In addition to that, we also have directive principles of state policy. So, when we look at the 67 years of democracy has been very, very dynamic and very, very vibrant. When we look at the rest of the countries in South Asia and many countries, democracy as a value has collapsed. Look at what is happening in Pakistan and Bangladesh. Particularly if we are talking about Pakistan, it is not been having the kind of a democracy which India has been having. So, in that kind of a context, it's very, very important these basic principles, the basic tenets of the Indian Constitution are very, very important for a successful democracy. And much more important when we talk about the Constitution, we also need to talk about the context of India. It is 1.25 billion population. In the next 10-15 years will become the largest population in the world. In that kind of a sense, the fact that we have retained as a democracy and a vibrant democracy, a dynamic democracy. Just about 6 months ago, we went through a major election 2014, and we have a popular government in India.
And how about you?
Yeah.
You would like to comment anything about Indian Constitution?
Yeah, realizing the need of the information plays a vital role in a democratic country. the right to information is added recently. It gave a new dimension and new voice to the people of this wonderful country. Our forefathers, as they provided in constitution, they have given dignity.
I think
And
the right to information is the oxygen of Indian
yes,
democracy.
rightly, you rightly put it. Oxygen for the Indian democracy. Though actually they have taken a lot of time to give that right to the people of this country, now right to information is playing a vital role, and it added a tremendous energy to the people of this country.
Professor Vishweshwara Garu, now that we see Indian Republic is 65-year-old democratic country. How do you describe, how do you state the state of the art Indian democracy, particularly versus the social, economic and political justice?
It's a
Do
very,
our people have this justice?
it's a very important question. As all of us have said, that we have one of the best constitutions in the world, and as we have said, we have got a vibrant democracy in the world. Many of the aspects which Indian constitution talks about, right to equality, right to freedom of speech and expression, or right against exploitation. I think it is important for us to look at, unfortunately, even after 67 years of democracy, there is still about, the official data says about 27 to 30% of the people are illiterate. And again, the economists of this country say about 27 to 30% of the people are below the poverty line. So when we are talking about democracy, how do we go about facing these major challenges in this country? If you look at the major challenges of this country are innumerable in this country. Look at poverty in this country. As I have said, 30% of the people live below the poverty line. What does democracy mean? What does freedom mean to these 30% of the people? I think is a major challenge. And look at illiteracy. About 27 to 30% of the people after 67 years of democracy are totally illiterate. It is important to know we need to go about facing these challenges, look at health, look at education. The latest data again indicates, because when we talked about the diverse country, we are multilingual country, multi-diverse country, there are innumerable religions, innumerable ethnicities and castes. Among some of the marginalized sections in this country, the dropout rate is very, very high. Access to health is not there for them. And if you look at the kind of deprivation we have still in this country, we talk about whether farmers committing suicide or whether hunger deaths taking place, there is deprivation there. So one of the positive aspects of Indian democracy is in the last 67 years we have been making a major effort in terms of trying to bring about a political reform, trying to bring about democratic reform and electoral reform, because the entire process of Indian democracy is based on electoral reform, and we have got an election commission which is a very, very independent commission. We also need to talk about when you are talking about democracy, other three pillars of Indian democracy. One is the legislature. And look at, in the last 60 years, we have been having regularly elections, and we have been electing parliament members, we have been electing MLAs. That's one of the major institutions of Indian democracy. Second major institution of Indian democracy is the judiciary, one of the best and one of the independent judiciaries in this country. Of course, because of major problems we have in this country, litigation is pending in the country. There are, we don't get, quick justice, but still, we are talking about fast track justice. We are talking about local adalats, so that judges can go and clear these cases. And then of course the other institution is the executive, and the fourth pillar of Indian democracy is mass media. There is no country in the world where mass media is growing as rapidly as India, because there is a relationship between democracy and mass media. Both of them go together. If we didn't have the kind of a dynamic and a vibrant democracy, mass media wouldn't have grown. According to estimates, according to the Registrar of Newspapers of India, we have got 90,000 publications in India, including newspapers and magazines. And look at television. Television, we got about 852 television channels in India. And then radio is growing. FM radio has revolutionized communication. Cinema, if you look at, cinema is 1,600 films we made in India, the largest film producing country in the world. And as the social media as another major media. and Mr. Ramo will throw some light about the relationship between social media and democracy. In the recent elections we had, the parliamentary elections, social media played a very crucial role. We are only not talking about the conventional media, the mass media. Now social media has also emerged as a major media. And how do you look at the role of the social media and the popularization of democracy?
Vis-a-vis our Indian democracy.
Yeah, actually I would like to add a few more points to Professor Visveswar Rao, Visveswar observations. See, since we were under British Raj for about 300 years and we were lagging behind, we couldn't catch up with the industrial revolution. Slowly we are trying to learn from the experience of other countries, and we borrowed some good points from all other constitutions and we formulated our constitution. So 67-year-old democracy is a mature democracy now. Now we got the industrial revolution. We took some time to catch up with that, and now we are amidst of the information revolution. India is playing a vital role in this, and now information is running the societies. Why information is needed for a democratic country like India? People heavily rely on mass communication to get information. They consume information from mass media and they create public opinion. Any public opinion is very much important to change the governments or to oppose the governments or to support the governments. That's what we have seen in Arab Spring and in recent elections also. That is why social media is picking up. It is a good sign for a democratic country like India. Blogs, Facebook, Twitter, every forum, every new ICT is helping this Indian democracy to mature more and to achieve the Millennium Development Goals set by the UN and being approached by Indian government.
The important point we need to talk about, we have already talked about one of the major legislations which has been brought about in this country, Right to Information Act. In fact, there are a couple of people. I am one of those people who firmly believe Right to Information Act should have come into existence in this country in 1950 when the Constitution came into existence. But however, it's a significant legislation because there is a relationship between democracy and right to information. People must have access to the right kind of information. There is no country in the world, again, when we look at the kind of money we are spending for rural development programs in this country, whether you're talking about health, we're talking about agriculture, we're talking about education, we're talking about literacy, we have been spending a lot of money. In fact, 70% of our budget goes for developmental programs in this country. So in that kind of a context, as Dr. Ramo has explained, information is power.
I know.
In this country. Knowledge is power.
Yes.
And that is where in a democracy, if it has to be successful, it has to be vibrant, and that's how Indian democracy has been vibrant. People have to know about governmental programs, governmental policies, whether the government is functioning or not functioning, how effectively it is functioning, what is the manifesto of the political parties when we go about. Though many of us think that the major problem in this country has been illiteracy, but if you look at in the last 65 years, every government has been elected on the basis of the mandate of the people. How did they give that mandate of the people? If you look at particularly the last 40 years, we have thrown out several governments. If someone interfered with freedom of the speech and expression, emergency was imposed in this country, we threw out one of the most popular personalities, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. How did we throw out? How did the new government recently come to power? People have understood the strength of democracy. They need to have information relating to public policies, governmental programs, governmental schemes, the manifestos of various political parties, and there is enormous wisdom in the Indian people. That's how democracy has become successful. That's where the media plays a crucial role. We are not only talking about mass media, we are also talking about interpersonal communication, group communication, rural communication, traditional media of communication, which also plays an important role.
Yes.
Not only the mass media in this country, there are several other kinds of media.
As you said, see, the important aspect of our discussion is mass media perspective. You rightly said India has more than about 90,000 publications. I think readership may be about 30 or 35 crores. Alongside the print media, we have about more than 8,000 TV channels, and we have about 90 crore cell phones in this country. We have having about 2-3 crore internet connections. So you see, media, I think biggest network in our country, I would like to know media power. We have a good media power. What role media played during freedom struggle? What role it has played to transform India after independence? What role it should play in future? I will be happy to enlighten our students these three roles.
It's a very significant question, particularly for students and people who are in the field of education have to get that kind of a perspective. If you're talking about 200 years ago in this country, when or about 80 years ago when we were fighting, 100 years ago when we were fighting for freedom. At that time, we did not have the popular media like radio and television was not there. But many of them, including if we're talking about Mahatma Gandhi, started Young India, Harijan and Navjeevan and Raja Ramohan Rai, Annie Besant, many others have started small publications with about 4 pages or 5 pages. And that did play a major role. Every person over the social reform, every person over the freedom movement started their own publication. And if you look at India, Bengal Gazette, we started over 230 years ago. So those newspapers played a very important role. How did they go about playing an important role? Every person went about starting a small publication. That publication by word of mouth got to know, because if you look at the freedom movement in this country, it's one of the major movements which has taken place in this world. How did that happen? It happened through interpersonal communication. It happened to small publications in this country. After that, we achieved independence. One of the important things, democracy in this country has survived only because of the mass media in this country. People are aware. As I have said earlier, someone who was stifled with the freedom of the speech and expression in this country, they were thrown out. And there is a relationship between mass media and the political process in this country. And there is nothing called censorship in this country, except films are censored. But otherwise, there is absolute freedom in this country in terms of right to publish. That is where I think we need to talk about. There is news, there is analysis, there is interpretation, there are editorial, there is opposite editorials, editorial page. We have advocacy journalism, we have investigative journalism. People of this country know. In the last 15 years, we have been talking about sting operations. There are no journalists and there are no television channels who are doing sting operations. Look at the wide variety of mechanisms we have in this country in terms of popularizing. India has produced outstanding journalists who are writing
but after
editorials.
Independence, people say the before independence it played the role of a missionary role.
Hey.
But after independence, there is a concept, it has too become a commercialized
the media has grown.
Industry,
I think
and which is the negative factor of the media.
I wouldn't look at it
react?
negative factor, because in this country, when you are talking about the kind of a plurality and diversity we have in terms of newspapers and magazines and television channels, if you don't like one channel, you can always see another channel. As Dr. Ramu explained, I think what is the role of the media? The role of the media is to give voice to the voiceless. That is the basic definition of the media. There are millions of people in this country who do not have a voice, and their voice is being reflected. Voice, India is the only country which has popularized what we call development journalism and development communication.
Yes, Professor.
Because we are a developing
Yes,
country.
Yes,
Agriculture,
Ramu, you want to say
health.
something?
Yes, Professor Reddy, I see 3 phases in the evolution of mass media in this country. Number 1, as our Professor Vishweshwar Rao said, see, in the initial stages, all our political leaders tried to inculcate patriotic fervor among the public to fight against the British Raj. That is the wonderful phase of our Indian mass media. All political leaders, they started their own newspapers and they helped the freedom movement. The second phase, when we got independence, and our leaders of the same clan, they tried to construct the society. They tried their best to do that. But in the last 20 years, that is the phase we are going through. This is a transition phase where technology involved in it and the expenses involved in printing and publishing, telecasting, it went up like anything. So there the industrialists chipped in and they started controlling the media. That is where people now talk about the fourth estate is rotten estate and it's not doing its duty. People are talking about it because now this industry is becoming a multi-crore industry. That is why a lot of bad
But I think, Dr. Ramu, when you're talking about the diversity of the media is very, very important.
Yes.
Because in addition to that now, we keep talking about, in terms of development, it is not, one media. We talk about multimedia approach to communication, or media mixtures to approach to communication. Yes, there are certain media which are taking a slant, which are taking a stance, but the kind of a variety we have. If you don't like one channel, we have another channel. Now, if you don't even like, one channel or newspaper, we have the social media, which is
Yes.
by and large a very free media. You can have a blog of your own, you can have a website of your own, you can comment on that. Look at, the diversity which is there in the media. And I think one of the major functions, as I've said, it has to reflect public opinion. It has to reflect people's voice. It has to reflect, people's anger. If you look at some of the newspapers and magazines and television channels, they are trying to do their best in terms of trying to reflect a divergent
we have been
viewpoints.
discussing about the role of media. Media is of two types. We have government media and private media. We have been discussing. But government media is also there. Professor Vishweshwar Garu, you see, we have public information disseminating agencies in the government of India, like Ministry of I&B has several media units. What is your opinion about their functioning to educate the people as partners in a democratic and development process?
Yeah, there has been a certain amount of criticism whether in a country like India, in a democracy, whether we have Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. But I would think, even though we have completed 67 years of democracy, but still, we need to have certain amount of mechanism has to be there in terms of what should be disseminated, what should not be disseminated. That's where I think it's important. We need to talk about public service broadcasting. Today, what we are using, what kind of a media we are using, we are sitting here and talking. This is public service broadcasting. And I'm also happy in this country we also have a Lok Sabha channel and a Rajya Sabha channel. They are public service broadcasting. If you look at the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, we've got Press Information Bureau. Sometimes, of course, some people are rather critical about Press Information Bureau and say Propaganda Information Bureau. But I would not look at it that negatively, because we need to have Press Information Bureau. How would you go about disseminating government policies relating to various programs in this country, whether health, hygiene, and nutrition, or rural development, or any kind of a thing? Then, of course, we got Directorate of Advertising and Visual Publicity. It gives primarily it gives only public notifications relating to various kinds of programs. If you look at radio and Doordarshan, are also totally funded by the government. We have been talking about autonomy.
Do you think that they have contributed to educate?
We have been talking about autonomy. Of course, it has been played. All media in this country have been playing a role, particularly if you're talking about the government-owned media, because their policies and programs are quite different. People have to know about various governmental programs and governmental schemes. If you're talking about All India Radio, Doordarshan, or look at
Directorate of Field Publicity.
Directorate of Field Publicity, Song and Drama Division. Look at the diversity in this country. How do we go about communicating with all the massive expansion which Dr. Ramu mentioned about? Mass media and technology has grown rapidly in this country. Still, 30% of them do not have access to any kind of a media. The Song and Drama Division, the Field Publicity Unit, song plays an important role, drama plays an important role. Because if you look at the tradition in this country, whether you're talking about mythology like Ramayana and Mahabharata, and many of them know about Ramayana and Mahabharata only through song and dance and drama. So it is important to know in a country like India, where so much of diversity is there, we need to use various kinds of media. For urban audiences, yes, we have to use radio and television. And of course, urban audiences now are almost about 10 to 15% of them have access to social media. If only we have total literacy in this country, which we are trying to aim in the next 10, 15 years, I'm sure social media will also play an important role. But then we need to talk about certain contradictions which are there in this country. You're talking about mobile phones. Yes, of course, we have the largest number of mobile phones, but then we have more mobile phones than schools in this country or toilets in this country. We also have to talk about that kind of a contradiction.
Yes.
And I'm sure when you're talking about the future of media, we'll try to reduce that inequalities which are taking place in this country. India is a country of contradictions. No country in the world has got contradictions. Today we are in a position to send a person to the Mars, but at the same time people don't have drinking water. That is a tragedy. So that is where I think mass media will play an important role
in
in
India.
Trying to reduce.
Jet on the
Yes.
one side and bullock cart on the other side.
Yeah, those kind of contradictions are there.
And,
So we are talking about good governance today. What is good governance? We are talking about honesty, transparency. That's where he talked about Right to Information Act, accountability to the people. And I'm sure we are moving in that kind of a direction.
Good.
It is not that easy in this country when you're talking about 1.25 billion population. And governance becomes a major task, and the role of the media is to bring about effective
Dr.
governance.
Ramu,
Yes, sir.
see, India lives in its villages. But you see, we have been discussing about government media, the public information disseminating agencies, and media as such, they live in urban area. There is an earning gap between urban and rural. I think rural, there are 69% of the population lives in rural, and urban about 29-30%, 31% live. But there is an earning gap. See, what do you suggest about building up a good public information setup at the grassroots level? Do you think that we need such a setup at the grassroots level?
Yes, actually, INPR is playing a vital role to give information, right information to the public. No information is better than distorted information, and no communication is better than miscommunication. And I sincerely believe that INPR is doing extremely well in the dissemination of information and the programs to the rural masses where most of our people are residing there. But now there is a suggestion from all quarters. Intellectuals say that it should not become INPR or any government agency should not become a mouthpiece to the government. But to my surprise, when we meet some intellectuals who come to Administrative Staff College of India, they say that majority of them watch Rajya Sabha TV or Lok Sabha TV because they don't distort any information. We need such kind of information system where they get pure information. The effort should be made to give the pure information.
At the same time, you see, there is every need to strengthen the public information setup at the grassroots.
No,
Yes.
but what is important, Dr. Narasimha Reddy, when you're talking about, which Dr. Ramu also mentioned, when you're talking about facets of information, there are different facets and dimensions of information. There is information, there is communication, there is public relations, there is advertising, there is propaganda, there is misinformation, also disinformation.
Disinformation.
When you're talking about, yes, there are certain television channels and perhaps certain agencies try to manufacture information, and students also need to be familiar. There is news, there is information. What is communication? Communication is a two-way process, but information is not a two-way process. Advertising is paid communication. There is also propaganda in this country. There is also publicity in this country. There is also disinformation in this country. We are also concerned about in this country because we are a democracy. Information is also manufactured, and I think students also should be familiar about the concept of paid news in this country. That is the one disturbing development taking place. Yes, the mass media is huge in this country. Mass media is a very dynamic institution in this country, but there are also certain disturbing trends which have been taking place. If you look at the last 20 years, there has been paid news. That is a threat to democracy itself. But then, of course, we have the press commission, the press council. Now I think we're going to be having a media council in this country, and there is a responsibility in terms of. So when you talk about that, I think we also need to talk about are there any regulations of the media? In a democracy, we cannot have any kind of a regulation in the media. We need to have self-regulation. It's when you're talking about communal rights or any kind of now there is a popular film which is being PK. A lot of people are protesting. My own opinion, can we have a film like that in a democracy? Yes, we need to have. Creativity has to be exhibited. There is no one way of looking at a particular issue. There are several ways of trying to look at a particular issue. So we need to have different perspectives. What is the role of the media? Role of the media is to give different kinds of points of view. Role of the media is to give different perspectives. Different opinions have to be there. That is what the strength of Indian democracy. That is why we have got newspapers of that nature. There are also newspapers in this country which are government owned. Should they have? Of course, we should have it because that is one way to popularize various kinds of governmental programs and schemes. So we need to be very cautious. I am not one of those people who believe that there can be any kind of a regulation of the media. There must be self-regulation. Self-regulations. Journalists must be independent. Editors must be independent. At the same time, unethical practices like paid journalism and paid news has to be curbed, and we need to have a law. That is one way we can go about strengthening democracy. And the Election Commission has been seized with that matter. They are examining that matter. They are also counting that as part of the election money which MLAs or MPs are spending. I think it's important to understand these kind of the conflict and the contradictions which are there in the Indian media.
But you see, of course, there are the negative aspect of Indian media, particularly the print media. The paid news concept has come. That has spoiled the image of our media in the country. What is your opinion about
it has been
paid news? Paid news.
No, the paid news is absolutely unethical. It's a disturbing trend in the Indian media. But one thing we need to do it. The Press Council of India did have a committee in this country to examine which were the newspapers which are indulging in this unethical practice. Yes. And the Election Commission has taken note of that. The Election Commission very categorically and clearly said that will be part of the expenditure because this is a new trend which has taken place. So we are trying to examine that.
Let us listen to our students. There is a
okay.
Yes. Yes. Any question?
Hello?
Yeah.
Can I pose a question?
Please.
Sir, what's your opinion about the freedom of speech in India? Freedom of speech and opinion that we have given it 70 years back.
Yeah, it's a good
We
question.
have given it 70 years back.
Yeah.
And now it is just like giving a liquor to a horse and losing the reins. It's just like giving a liquor to the horse and losing the reins.
No.
Please give your opinion about
Let him finish.
this issue.
Yeah, it's a very good question. As we said, it is a 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution talks about freedom of speech and expression. And that has been interpreted by the Supreme Court of this country. Freedom of speech and expression also means freedom in the press and freedom in the media. I will not look at it the way you are trying to look at it. It is very important in a democracy that we need to have a democratic media. We need to have a free media. People must have the freedom to write, freedom to express. That's how we have survived as a democracy. But however, it could be, it is possible that some of them are trying to use, misuse that media. But there are provisions in this country. There is a law of libel, law of defamation. If there is any reader, any viewer who is not happy, would think that a particular channel or a particular newspaper is trying to spread some kind of a religious disharmony or any other kind of a thing, you have the right to go to the Supreme Court or the High Court. So we need to appreciate, we need to look at the fundamental right of this country, which is freedom of speech and expression. Ramu,
Yeah.
want to add something?
Yes, sir. Actually, we are enjoying freedom of expression, I sincerely believe, because in our constitution, like any individual, media is also having 19(1)(a) as freedom of expression. If you go to our border and see China, you cannot express anything. Recently, they barred this Google and Twitter, and they employed about 2 million workers to monitor all websites. But we don't have such kind of thing. India is a vibrant country, which is giving actually a lot of scope to express ourselves. Now, today, freedom of expression you can see in blogs, in Facebooks. You can deliberate on anything and you can write on anything. People are not being arrested unless and until you committed to libel or defamation.
And not only that, Dr. Ramu, they also need to know that not only freedom of speech and expression, which is a fundamental right in this country. We brought about a significant legislation which we talked about right to information. If you cannot get information from a newspaper, from a magazine or a television channel, you cannot go right to information.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Every public office is supposed to have a public information officer, and you can collect the data or information in 30 days.
Yes, sir.
And another important area you see, of course, media.
There's another phone call.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello?
Question, please.
Yeah, sir, I have one question actually. So, in fact, just now I've started watching this debate, and actually it was nice. Yeah, I want to ask the question related to freedom of speech and expression over the social media, because recently I have observed that some of the comments people usually express their feelings in the social media caught the attention of the government, and the people the government is trying to put the people behind the bars, and this is a very bad phenomena that we currently see. So how do you see this with respect to the social media?
Dr. Ram.
Because especially, so what about criticizing the holy scriptures in the social media? Of course, it is not intended to, raise the communalism, or else it is not any other thing, but, simply criticizing the holy scriptures. How do you see that? Because
Yes,
freedom
Ramu.
of speech, right? Though we write the books.
Yes, yes.
And we
Ramu,
Yes.
Dr. Ramu will answer.
I got your question, and social media is actually a big milestone in the history of this communication, and about 6.7 million bloggers blog every day. But the problem lies here. Everybody wants to utilize the information and communication technologies, either it's Facebook or blog or Twitter, but they don't have discipline in communicating the message. That is the problem. That is why the theorists and intellectuals argue that there should be proper teaching from school level to how to communicate to others without disturbing their sentiments, without harming their interests. But when you go to see some blogs, blogs are having a lot of good network. They come together just to create sensation like other media houses, and they want to create some sensation and get some extra hits. That is not the way. If you are disciplined in the way you communicate to your audience, I think you don't have any problem, because I have been blogging for a decade and I don't see any problem, because I criticize many people.
I think they also have to know that it's a very significant question they asked. The social media is a new media, and social media is absolutely democratic media in this country, because there cannot be any kind of interference. But at the same time, I do take your concern into consideration of certain people trying to use, misuse rather the social media in terms of trying to criticize some holy scriptures and all that. Several incidents have taken place in this country. It is important for you to understand there is a cyber law in this country. It is a new media in this country, and the government of India is quite concerned about how we should go about developing some kind of a mechanism to have certain cyber laws. And I'm sure very soon we will have enact more laws to see that that kind of a sensationalism or that kind of an irresponsible blog or irresponsible writing or criticizing particular religion or particular scripture will definitely be examined. But what is important is social media has to grow. It's a significant media. In addition to the mass media, social media will play a significant role in future in terms of trying to create public awareness or public information. And if you look at all corporates are also using now social media in terms of our communication. Earlier, conventionally, we need to have house journals. But today, we are using social media. Websites have become popular. Every GO of the government of India or every GO which is issued by the state government is immediately put on the website. Look at the advantage in terms of access. If there is a person who has got access to that media, he can immediately circulate that particular government order or particular policy to thousands and thousands of people. That's the advantage of the social media.
But any media, be it mass media, social media, new media, or interpersonal media, my dear students, should be socially responsible.
Responsible, that is important.
All the media are subject to certain restrictions imposed by the Constitution. That we should. Yes. And Professor Vishweshwar Rao Garu, you have been talking about self-regulations of the media. At that stage, we got a question, and we have been advising the media to evolve self-regulation, but so far they have not come to any conclusion. But don't you think, Parliament should evolve? One view is Parliament also, the people's right. Parliament could evolve a regulation placed before it, and a regulatory commission with the media could be established. What is your view about it?
If there's any country in the world where the whole issue about the autonomy of media, regulation of the media, self-regulation of the media, it has been a contentious issue. If you go back into history, I think students should be very familiar. Students should have an idea about India is one country which constituted the first press commission, and we also have the second press commission, and then later we had Prasar Bharati, which talked about autonomy of radio and television. The debate took place in this country almost for 20 years. And of course, we have the Press Council of India, which has been constituted, it's the government body. But there is we have got to make a distinction, because if you look at the Press Council in the rest of the world, the Press Council of India there is not funded by the government, it is funded by the media. And I am sure sooner or later, if you have a media council which is totally funded by the media proprietors, the media owners, and I am sure that will be greater independence. I think that kind of a direction we will have to move. Because if we are talking about Parliament enacting any kind of a legislation in this country, and I am sure every 5 years we will get a new government, and that is the kind of a trend which is taking place. Can the Parliament control the media in this country? Parliament, in fact, the role of the media is supposed to critique on certain governmental policies,
We have a
governmental
question.
programs.
We have a question.
Yes.
Question, please.
Hello.
Please ask your question.
అవకాశం ఉందండి?
Yes, please.
చెప్పండి.
హలో
చెప్పండి.
హలో
చెప్పండి
yes.
చెప్పండి.
చెప్పండి, వింటున్నాం, చెప్పండి.
సార్ సార్ in our Indian constituency in our Indian constituency, why don't you keep equal powers to Prime Minister, President and Supreme Court Chief Justice? Three of them will have equal powers. It will be something justice will be in our country, no sir.
Recall or repoll?
We have equal powers, but
Equal,
President
equal.
is supreme
Equal,
of the country. Prime Minister is the supreme of the country now at present. But why don't have equal powers of them?
Well, I think
Prime Minister, President, and Supreme Court Chief Justice.
No,
we'll
we-
have three members. You will have equal power. Then we'll have some justice in our country. I'm thinking, sir.
Yeah, that question, yes, we have understood your question. We
Please,
cannot talk.
rectify that.
You know,
In America, it may be like that. I think so, sir.
no. We cannot talk about
Give a chance to him. Please complete your question.
No,
Yeah.
that's what
You
he
talk.
said.
we cannot in this country we cannot talk about judiciary is altogether a separate institution by itself.
Separation of powers.
Yeah. I want to add one more
The
point.
judiciary is supposed to critique on governmental programs, governmental policies, which is an independent body. We cannot talk about the president and the prime minister and the Supreme Court Chief
Equal
Justice
power.
sitting
Equal.
together
In
and
Very
taking
India,
equal.
then we
taking a
may have
decision.
justice in for the people. I think so.
Beg
So it
pardon,
is
repeat,
actually-
repeat your question, please.
Okay.
చెప్పండి.
So, we'll have equal powers.
No, equal
President,
powers.
Prime Minister, and Supreme Court Chief Justice. We have three
Yeah.
systems, systems in our India.
Three
Yeah.
independent institutions.
Because number one, we talked about legislature as an institution. The
Yes,
parliament is supposed to be making a law
Law.
for
Yes,
this
sir.
country. The parliament members are supposed to be discussing. The
Yes,
judiciary does have the right to sit on judgment about that particular law which has been passed in this country. You need to understand, the powers of the prime minister are different, powers of the president are different, powers of the legislature are different, powers of the judiciary are quite different. We cannot have all of them
There is
integrated
there is another
together.
question. There is another question. Question, please.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
please.
yes. Please put your question.
What are the fundamental rights for an individual of the country in India? You please explain me. And moreover, the another question is, and there are so many religions and all these things, and how they are thinking of managing all these things and bringing equality among all the people.
Yes, sir. We have already talked about the fundamental rights of this country. Again, for the benefit of our viewers and view, there are 7 fundamental rights in this country. Right to equality.
What
We are
are
talking about equality of all people, whether it is men or women, poor or rich.
No,
The
that's
other fundamental right is right to freedom and freedom of speech and expression. Another fundamental right is right against exploitation. No one can in this country say that we will exploit people. And right to freedom of religion. India is a secular country. India is the only country in the world which has got Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, Jainism, and we've got Zoroastrian. Parsis are there. It's a multi-religious country. Every person has the right to practice his or her faith, her religion. However, the Constitution very clearly says we cannot coerce people to accept a particular faith or religion. We are explaining this in view of the controversy which is going on this country. And the other aspect is every person has the right to cultural and educational rights. Every person can have his cultural norms, cultural values, tradition, festivals, etc., and also right to education is there, right to property, right again to constitutional remedies. If someone is not implementing or someone is interfering with your fundamental right, you can appeal to the Supreme Court and the High Court of this country. And we have already said, these 7 fundamental rights are very crucial in terms of, viable democracy and viable freedom. That's how, we have been surviving as a great nation, as a remarkable country.
The unique feature of our constitution is
We talk about unity in diversity.
we don't have any state religion.
Yeah,
we don't have any state religion. All religions are
Another
equal.
phone.
Yes, Dr. Ram.
Another phone.
Yes,
phone.
another question. Please put your question, please. Question.
Hello. Hello.
Yes,
Yamani.
please. Yes, please. You put your question. please.
సార్ నా పేరు వర్మ సార్ సార్ థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్ మీరు చాలా బాగుంది సార్ చిన్న డౌట్ సార్
చెప్పండి.
ఏం లేదు సార్ ఇప్పుడు వచ్చేసి మన దీంట్లో అది బ్యాక్ టు హోమ్ అని చెప్పేసి మన అదే కన్వర్షన్ గురించి జరుగుతుందే కదా సార్ ఇప్పుడు ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ లో యాక్చువల్ గా వచ్చేసి ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ లో ఈ కన్వర్షన్స్ అనేవి చేయకూడదు కదా సార్ అంటే ఇట్ హాస్ బీన్ రిటర్న్ బై అంబేద్కర్, డాక్టర్ అంబేద్కర్ ద గ్రేట్ పర్సన్. మరి వీళ్ళంతా వచ్చేసి వై దే ఆర్ డూయింగ్ లైక్ దట్ సార్ కొంచెం అంటే ఆలోచన ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళు డైరెక్ట్ గా చేంజ్ చేయాలని చూస్తారు సార్ కన్వర్షన్స్ హౌ ఇట్ ఇస్ పాసిబుల్ సార్ ఇది ఎంతవరకు న్యాయము నాకు ఆ చిన్న డౌట్ సార్.
కన్వర్షన్ చేయాలని ఎక్కడ లేదండి.
What you have to understand is there is right to freedom of religion in this country.
Yes.
Number one, every person has the right to practice his faith. Every person has the right to have his religion. However, if forceful conversions are taking place, for your information, the government of India has already been taking action of someone who is indulging in this kind of an unlawful activity of coercing people, appeasing people, forcefully converted, they are being arrested. That is the law of the land. The law of the land. We are a secular nation. Secularism means equality for all religions. Every citizen of this country has right to practice. India is not having one religion.
We have
as
another
said.
question.
It's
We
a
have another
multi-religious
question.
country.
Another
We have
question.
another question, please.
Hello.
Question, please.
Hello.
హలో
Yes,
Yes,
carry
yes.
on, carry on.
మే ఆస్క్ యు క్వశ్చన్
Please,
Yes,
please, carry
yes,
on.
please.
ఓకే సార్ హలో గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్
Good.
దిస్ కేత్రావ్ ఫ్రమ్ విజయవాడ.
Okay.
హలో
Yes.
సార్ ఇఫ్ ఐ స్పీక్ హలో
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. You speak.
if I speak truth or untruth, false or unfalse, fact or unfact, will it come under freedom of speech? Hello?
Yes, yes.
What-
Does it come under the category of
Will
freedom
it
of
come under freedom of speech?
freedom of speech? Sir,
Yes, please.
in journalism we talk about facts are sacred, opinion is free, interpretation is free. Newspapers and the media are supposed to be giving factual information, but it is very difficult to define what is objectivity in this country. What is objective can be subjective, but most of the time all journalists, all media make an effort to reflect fact, reflect truth, reflect objectively information. But however, one of the finest things about Indian democracy, there is plurality of media, diversity of the media. If you do not like one newspaper, you can read another newspaper. If you don't like one channel, you can go to another channel. As Dr. Ramo very clearly explained, social media has become very powerful. You can access the social media. So we cannot sit in judgment and say what is fact and what is not a fact, what is subjective and objective.
We have another question. We have another question, please. Please, question.
Hello.
Yes, yes. Put your question, please.
Namaste, sir.
Namaskar, Landi.
I'm from Chennai.
Yes.
Sir, right to employment అనేది గవర్నమెంట్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్స్ లో ఈక్వల్ గా డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ కావట్లేదండి. దే ఆర్ ఫిక్సింగ్ సమ్ మార్క్స్ 60% అని 70% అని. If they are so, what is the credibility of the degrees being awarded? But with mere pass by the educational institutes.
No.
ఇది సరిగ్గా లేదండి. mere పాస్ అయిన వాళ్ళు కూడా ఎలిజిబిలిటీ అయ్యేటట్టు చూడాలి. బికాస్ దే ఆర్ అగైన్ కండక్టింగ్ కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామ్స్.
Right. I think what we have got to look at that question, we have got to look at the Indian Constitution talks about a socialistic pattern of society. Indian Constitution talks about it's a welfare state. India, it's a welfare state. So we certainly have to believe in affirmative action and reservation policy. The marginalized sections will have to get opportunity. However, your question is, yes, there is a Union Public Service Commission. There is several public service commissions are there. They conduct tests. there is the National Assessment Accreditation Council, there is the UGC, University Grant Commission. If fake certificates are given, we can always bring it notice of the state government or to the police, whoever is doing that kind of unlawful activity. Unlawful. Now, we are a huge society, we are a complex society. Certain misdemeanors can take place, yes, certain misdeeds can take place, but it is important for citizens like you to bring it to the notice of certain public authorities. They will definitely initiate action
Ramu
to
wants
see
to add
that
something.
that kind of unlawful activity does not take place.
Yeah,
Dr.
yeah.
Ramu.
You well said, sir. Actually, I wanted to add a point to with regard to the self-control or self-regulation of media. You see, two newspapers have been scrupulously following this. One is the Hindu. Hindu is having a reader's editor, and Mint is also following the same system. If all newspapers evolve a mechanism where they can address to the grievances raised by the people, it will be good for the mass media. Mass media can get the credibility
I think the
back.
other thing, I suggest, Dr. Ramu, every newspaper in this country must have an ombudsperson.
Yeah, it should be mandatory.
Ombudsperson should be mandatory. That ombudsperson, he or she should sit and judgment about whether newspaper, as one of the viewers has asked, whether they are giving factual information, whether they are giving right information, whether there is disinformation, there is paid journalism. We must have an ombudsperson.
That is the only way to get back the credibility.
The Reserve Bank of India has got an ombudsperson.
Yes, sir.
And I
Thank
think,
you.
we need to have ombudsperson
Thank
so that
you, my
they will
dear
take a decision.
experts. We are indeed grateful to the experts for enlightening our students on 4 areas of the topic. 1, the Constitution of India. 2, state of the art Indian democracy. 3, as 4th estate, the media perspective. And 4, important challenges of our democracy, particularly poverty. These things, I thank you. In conclusion, I say, I quote the famous quotation of our first Prime Minister, who said, "Freedom from ignorance or information poverty is as important as freedom from hunger."
Yes.
I hope this debate, this discussion has been very informative. I am sure the students and others must have got benefited about the freedom of speech and expression and the role of the mass media.
Thank you
in a
very much.
democracy.
Thank you very
So
much.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.